Now it's January, and we are surrounded by some very familiar items, which can only mean one thing. It's Movie Marquee wrap-up time. Friends, hello! Welcome back to Amethyst Craftworks. I'm Samantha. And indeed it is 2025, so happy New Year to you. I may be a few weeks late. You'll perhaps have to forgive me. I hope you're having a lovely 2025. And I hope you had a nice holiday, winter holiday time as well, if you celebrate. Of course, you know, New Year's is sort of ubiquitous, so we'll go with Happy New Year. So Happy New Year to all of you guys, all of my friends out there. How are ya? How are you doing? I hope it's good. I hope you've maybe got a little drink today. I myself have a hot pink ghosty tumbler with iced chai latte in here. Oh, it is so fabulous. I thought I might need a little pick-me-up here, a little bit of wet your whistle, you know, so I've got a drink. Hopefully you do as well, because I've got kind of an important video for you. Although, let me sneak one more sippy sip and then set the cup out of the way, because over here seems to invite disaster. If you know, you know. Anyway, I have got a really exciting video for you today. I have got the wrap-up of 2024's Movie Marquee project for me. I am so stinking excited. It is sitting right here beside me. Spoilers, maybe a little bit of spoilers, but I did finish it. In fact, I finished it pretty quickly, to be perfectly honest with you. I was very proud of myself for that. But we've got some stuff to talk about with the Movie Marquee, my project, the movies, what I had to do, what I did do, so on and so forth. But first, I just wanted to draw your attention to this insane cardigan that I am wearing that is just covered in appliques and granny squares all over it. It is, I think, if not the most, then like top 3 most proud projects. How in the heck was I meaning to word that? It's in my top 3 of the projects that I'm most proud of making. There we go. The sleeves are ridiculous. It is more color than I can even brain. It's colorful in ways that I personally would never have put together, which is the whole purpose of the Movie Marquee, right? It's covered in appliques and like references to the movies and so on and so forth. This was 2023's project. This behind me here, you can't really see it all too well. There you go. If I completely lean off my chair, you can see it. But this blanket, this granny square blanket, was my project for 2022. So 2025 marks the 4th project for the Movie Marquee. And of course, not only am I participating in the Movie Marquee, because it is one of my favorite, one of my favorite things that I have ever been a part of, but I'm also hosting it. Again, with my girls, Bella from Bella's Crochet Gifts and Heather the Crochet Witch. Hello, ladies. How are ya? Happy New Year to both of you. Now, they are just the most fabulous ladies. They are always in every single one of these Movie Marquee videos from 2023 on. I believe is when Bella and I joined Heather, right? The year with this. I think that was 2023. There's a reason why I've got a caffeinated chai latte. It's because my brain isn't quite woken up yet. But regardless of that, in all of these Movie Marquee videos, Bella and Heather are linked in the description down below. If you're not familiar with them, click down there, check them out. They are both delightful, delightful people. I am sure you will enjoy following along with their Movie Marquee shenanigans, just like with me. Just like with me. The entirety of the project is a year-long make-along where every month, either myself, Heather, or Bella picks a movie, and we all base a something on that movie's poster. The colors, the movie itself, whatever tickles your pickle, you pull inspo from that movie's poster, and then you make a thing. Granny squares, appliques, amigurumi, wearables, blankets, etc., 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 right? You kind of do whatever it is that you want to do with the inspiration from the movie posters. Now, for 2024, I was working on a blanket. Every month, I was doing a set of rows. The number of rows didn't really matter. The number of colors even didn't really matter. But each month had its own stitch pattern, its own color palette, its own section of the blanket, and then each month built upon the previous until I have a full-size blanket sitting right here beside me. This was a labor of love, for sure. I had gotten really behind in September. The end of September is when I didn't stop working on it, technically, and I didn't fall out of love with it either. But what I did do is get really behind. So in October, November, and December, so Heather's month, Bella's month, and my month, the last of our picks, I got really behind on the Movie Marquee. So I had those 3 months to catch up on. And I suppose I've wasted enough of your time here babbling to say that those 3 months, so October, November, and December, are on my blanket. There is also a border all the way around. There are also front or back, no ends. They are all woven in. This baby is top to bottom, back to front, 100% completed. And I am thrilled with it. So, let's talk about the movies, the inspiration, the colors, all that good stuff for the last 3 months of the year, okay? So, let's start with October. Now, this section from the kind of dark red up to the yellow, this section is for the stand. Now, this was Heather's, not Bella's, Heather's pick for October. And in that poster, I saw a gradient, really, of like red to pink to yellow. And so that's what I kind of tried to do in yarn form for my blanket. I've got yellow, like mustard color, like sort of almost a light red versus pink. You know, it's more light red than pink. And then like a red purple, a more purple purple, a dark red, a darker red, and then the darkest red down here, more of like a wine burgundy color. Now these were mostly Big Twist value. In fact, this first line here of this like kind of magenta color is the only one that isn't a Big Twist value. It's a Craftsmart Neon, which is now Soft Classic by Loops and Threads from Michaels. So these are mostly Big Twist value. And I did the lemon peel stitch. Now, most of these stitch patterns in this blanket have come from a book. I have shown it so many times, and unfortunately, I don't know where I put it. It was sitting with my Movie Marquee blanket while I was working on it, because I was working on stitches and I'm pulling stitch patterns out of there. And then I must have moved it because I found the blanket clearly and can't find the book. So, I'll put a picture up over there of the book in question. The Crochet Stitch Dictionary by Sarah Hazell. It's been my companion throughout all of the 2024 blanket Movie Marquee making. Most of the stitches that are in this blanket are from that book. However, this stitch pattern is actually the lemon peel stitch. And I learned this stitch pattern from Heather herself. She's got a tutorial on her channel, which I'll link again in the description box, teaching you how to do the lemon peel stitch. I thought it was pretty fitting to do Heather's last pick with Heather's stitch tutorial, right? So I also love the lemon peel stitch. One, it's super easy, and two, it has the most glorious texture. It feels wonderful. It feels very different than the other sections even. It's a little nubbly, kind of like the skin of a lemon. Weird how that works out, right? So this was the stand. This was for October. Let me fold this back again so that you can see November section. Now, November section is a little hard to see. It is this top line up here, which goes black to white to gray, okay? There, all the way down to a dark purple. This section here is for Bella's pick, which was Clue. Stay with me here, okay? I had a specific idea for Clue. Now, I love this movie. I have seen this movie. Anything with Tim Curry is a yes, please, thank you, sir, from me. I love me some Tim Curry. I love the movie. I thought it was wacky and zany and very fun. As fun as, like, a murder mystery can be, right? Which apparently is quite fun because I really enjoy that movie. However, Clue is a board game. The movie is based on the board game. I'm pretty sure the board game came first. And in it, there are a specific number of characters that are all suspects in the murder. Kind of like the movie, right? And they all have color-specific names. Now, I'm sure that's because the pawns for each character can easily be identified because, for example, Mr. Green has a green pawn, right? You know, it's like that. But I took the names of the characters and just put them in my blanket in the colors they are in the board game. Okay, except for one row, which we'll get to. Now, here is where I really test my memory. Will I be able to remember all their names? I think I'm good. So, purple. Get my bundle of joy up here a bit more. So, purple, Professor Plum. This teal color, Mrs. Peacock. The green, the aforementioned Mr. Green. The yellow, Colonel Mustard. The red, Miss Scarlet. The pink, where are we? The pink, right here, is Dr. Orchid, who is a new-ish character in the more recent versions of Clue, the board game. Although I think she's also been replaced with even newer characters. Or different characters, or Dr. Orchid is in the board game with other new characters. I'm really not sure. But I included her because she's in the version that me and the besties play. So, Dr. Orchid. White is Mrs. White. And then the very top up here, this real last line that sort of looks even more wavy, is because it blends in with the black in between the sections. But that is a black and white and gray variegated yarn from Red Heart. I've got two of them, and I think I used the Red Heart version. But it's black, white, and gray variegated. And I think it's called Zebra, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure. But I use that to represent Tim Curry in the butler black and white suit, tuxedo, right? I did include Tim Curry because I had to include Tim Curry. I love Tim Curry, so this section, this like rainbow block stitch, it's just double crochets and then single crochets, and then you alternate on the opposite row. So it sort of gives you this wave form sort of pattern. I liked it a lot. Again, from Sarah Hazell, the Crochet Stitch Dictionary, which is quite a tongue-tied phrase. It's quite the tongue twister, there we go, to say. But that was November. That was Clue. And then the very last section, let me wrangle this massive blanket here. This last section up here at the top. There we go. Now you can see it. From up here to down here, this was December's pick, which was my pick. And it was, why am I pointing here? Whoa, there we go. Trolls Band Together. Now that poster is absolutely a explosion of color, which makes sense given the section for December that I've got up here. However, I did say in my video for the pick for December, so when I picked Trolls Band Together, that there was a specific reason why I picked this movie. Now is the time in which we are going to discuss why. Now, beyond being just cute movies, Trolls Band Together is, I believe, the third one in the series. But my section of stitches here, which I did the spike stitch, this section of stitches is based on the movie's poster over there. The first few rows and the last few rows are absolutely pulled from the poster. However, the rows in the middle, they're not from the poster specifically. They're characters in the movie. Now, I suppose when you look at me, I don't necessarily think you instantly assume that I am a fan of pop music. And you would be, for the most part, correct. My taste in music tends to be on the like rock, metal, soft goth rock, that side of the musical spectrum. However, I think I read at one point somewhere across my trolls on the internet that the music that you liked when you were 14, 15, 13 sort of stays with you for the rest of your life. And I can for sure attest to that. I am, without a doubt, a fangirl through and through for NSYNC, for Justin, JC, Joey, gotta pull them up here, Lance and Chris. These are my boys. They are always going to be my boys. I am forever going to be a boy band fan because of these boys right here, and because they became super popular when I was 13, 14, 15, and so on. I was, to begin with, I was a Lance girl until my brain matured, and then I became a JC girl, right? But we love Justin as well. And anyway, I bring up NSYNC because Most of my section for Trolls Band Together is based on the trolls that the NSYNC boys played in the movie Trolls Band Together. I'm going to put a picture up over here of their trolls all together so you can see them. Because if I'm going to pick a movie with my #1 most fangirl band, I'm going to represent all 5 members of said band in my blanket, right? So down here, red and purple, that is Blaze, who is Joey on the end. Then we've got sparkly, I'm not sure if you can see it, sparkly mint and sparkly navy for Hype, who is next to Blaze, and Hype is JC, my JC. Then the dark teal and the purple here in the middle, this is Branch, that's Justin. Then the orange and the purple, it's like purple and black and white variegated, light purple here. Trying to point and look and, anyway. This one up here is for Tricky, who is Chris. And then up here at the very top, hold it here so maybe you can see. It's, the spikes are in like pastel rainbow, and then the stitches themselves are yellow. And that's for Boom, who is Lance. That's the 5 of them. And then the last rows up here and the first rows at the bottom, bookending the section, is the poster itself, because it's like a neon rainbow yarn and then some purple to do the spikes in. And so that is Trolls Band Together. NSYNC is why I picked that that movie. They released a song for that movie called Better Place. It's been like 20 years since NSYNC was actually together and releasing music. And it made my inner teenage girl just lose her mind, let me tell you. And so Better Place it's such a happy, fun song. The movies themselves are so cute. Justin is, of course, in all of them. He's Branch. He's one of the main characters. But he got the other 5 guys to do a song and to be, be trolls. And it was a perfect way to end 2024 with just some happy, fun, ridiculous colors, right? Like it was, it makes me so happy, and it made me happy to incorporate my boys into the Movie Marquee blanket. And I will also say, as I am like tumbling this blanket all up in my lap, I know I didn't really show you a very good close-up of the last 3 months. And that's because this blanket is it's massive. It is bigger than I anticipated. It is bigger than I thought it would be. It is heavy and wavy and it's a monster. It is absolutely a monster, both in color and in size. And so instead of struggling to show it up to you and my camera being wonky and not focusing and blowing colors out, I decided to take some more close-up pictures of the blanket and do a little montage of the year. And so if you're curious as to what the actual stitches of this blanket look like, what the colors represent, where I pulled them, then check out this next series of clips. Roll that beautiful bean footage. little walk down memory lane. You got to see all the stitches in this insane blanket. I'm very proud of the way this thing turned out. I love it. It's perfect bed size. There was one point, I think at the very beginning of this project, where I wasn't entirely certain that this would even end up bed size. Past Samantha had nothing to worry about because I made it bed sized, right? It was so much fun, even though I did get behind. I got behind, I think, a couple of times. And it was simple enough, and I love that project enough that it wasn't a problem to catch up on what I had fallen behind on. And the Movie Marquee itself is absolutely one of my favorite things that I have ever done on this channel. It is one of my favorite things that I have ever participated in, as well as like so proud that I've hosted it. The things that I have made for this challenge, this make-along, have been some of my favorite things. This blanket has sat on this chair countless times. This sweater, this cardigan is... I don't even think there's really words to describe how I feel about this thing, other than I love it. And it is also finally proper winter weather here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which means I am perfectly happy to stay snugly and warm in this insanely large cardigan that just is covered with memories of 2023. Yes, 2023. It's just, I love these projects. They're so much fun and they are so inspiring. Both like you guys showing off what you've made, my fellow hosts showing off what they've made, like the colors and pulling, color combinations that I wouldn't necessarily have picked myself, but look nice together and I can appreciate, even if they're not my usual color palette, This whole thing is just, it's so much fun and it is so inspiring, which is why I'm very pleased to be able to host again for 2025. Just a little pause here to hydrate and caffeinate and all that. Take one more sip. I love chai tea. I love iced chai lattes just in general. Milk, chai, a little bit of sugar. It is chef's kiss. It is delicious. But as I was saying, I am indeed hosting again this year for the Movie Marquee, along with Beather and Hella. Are you kidding me? How about Bella and Heather? There we go. Maybe a little bit more caffeine. Wake the brains up here. So, I'm very pleased to be hosting again with my girls, Heather and Bella. It is January, which means we roll on back to Heather's pick for January. And I'm going to go over the yarns and things like that for, what January's pick is and all that. But I first think I want to talk about what my project is going to be for 2025. Now, as you can plainly see here, 1, 2, and 3. The past 3 years, I have made things for me. I made myself a cardigan. I've made 2 blankets now. Like, I love these projects, don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying here at all. But what I am saying is I think it's time to share the Movie Marquee love when it comes to the end result, the end project, because I've been selfish, right? I've done the selfish thing. It's now time to maybe unselfish myself and use the Movie Marquee as inspiration and motivation for making donations, right? So if you follow both Bella and Heather, then you will know that Heather, who just did like her Movie Marquee 2024 roundup, wrap up, review video, which was so fun to watch. It was like so fun to go all the way back to last January and see all of her blankets progress through the year. But she was doing donation blankets for an animal shelter. I think Bella, since the beginning of us being a part of the Movie Marquee, I think she's always, Bella, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she's always done donation blankets, making blankets for donations with the Movie Marquee color palette and inspiration in movies and stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure. Either way, they both have done donation projects for the Movie Marquee. And so I figured, you know what? I should probably get on that too. So, my idea for 2025 Movie Marquee project is thus. I'm going to be making hat and scarf sets, hat and cowl sets, hooded scarf, hooded cowl sets, with or without gloves, with or without mittens, with or without socks, etc., etc., combinations of these sort of wintry goods to make as donations. Now, the besties, my two very best friends, Lauren and Pums, hey girls, they both work in nursing homes. And I thought hat and scarf, hat and cowl and sock, hat, cowl, mitten, and sock donations for the senior citizens that live in a nursing home might be a nice gesture. I also have done a little bit of research on handmade crochet knit goods for donations in my area, in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. I did find one. I will link it below. It's called Knit Hope. It's based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and they accept knit, as the name suggests, or crocheted hat and scarf sets, and they have a donation, like, gosh, I can't think of the right word, like a donation run, but that's not the word I'm trying to think of. Campaign? They take donations at the end of the year. So I think it was from September to October, like September 1st through October 1st. There are donation centers where you can drop off handmade goods to the Knit Hope folks for donations. And I thought that was perfect because I want to make hat and scarf, hat and cowl sets, winter sets for donations. And of course, if I have any left over after that, and of course the donations only run from September to October, which means November, December, we'll have movies. I'm going to have projects. I'm going to have more to make. So there's like donation bins kind of all over my neighborhood area for, I think there's one for disabled veterans. There's ones for like the Goodwill. I can't remember what they all are, but I think I'm just going to drop whatever it is I make at the very end of the year into those donation boxes, hat and scarf, hat and cowl sets, and just sort of spread the Movie Marquee love with some donations in my local area, because I think that's important, number one, and also fitting, and, you know, all that stuff. And I'm very excited to do this. I will say, the one item that I have made the absolute most of when it comes to crocheting or loom knitting or what have you is hats. I'm the hat lady. Let me tell you. I made for more donations for wings for Rose from Rose Likes Crochet. Hi, Rose. That was a couple of years ago. I think that was 2 years ago now. I made like 30 sets, winter set, hat and cowl, hat and scarf sets as donations for Rose. I am the go-to for hats when it comes to my immediate family and even not immediate, like extended family as well. A couple of years ago for Christmas, I made every single person I know a hat for Christmas. And then this year, I made the people who either weren't born yet then or weren't in the family yet then hats this year. And so I think I have gotten every single person in my entire circle of familiarity a hat. And I have probably made upwards of 100 hats, given all the ones that I have made and given away, donated, and the ones that I have made for myself. Like, I have made a ton of hats. And I love it. I love making them. I love loom knitting them. I love crocheting them. I love using wacky colors, new patterns, new stitches. All in general, I love making hats. And I make hats all year round, regardless of what I'm doing. So I figured I'll use the Movie Marquee as inspiration for color palettes for some donations to make hat and cowl, hat and scarf, again, hooded cowl, hooded scarf, etc., winter sets to give away. Donate to wherever will take my handmade goods, right? I think that's a nice sort of way to give back because, like I said, I've been pretty selfish with my Movie Marquee. And so I'm going to use it this year to put a little good into the world, which I really think is important for my community, and then it's also very important to myself, right? So that's the project for the Movie Marquee with some stipulations here. So number one, I'm giving myself a few rules / excuses to follow. Excuses isn't quite the right word, but like rules and also exceptions to rules to sort of make things a little bit easier on myself, right? So number one, at least one set every month is going to be made in the Movie Marquee movie poster colors. I'm not limiting myself to only one set, but at least one will be made in the Movie Marquee movie poster color palette of my choosing from the poster. However, I guess two, I'm giving myself the leeway to add in neutral colors to kind of help tie the colors together. So, for example, let's say in August, the movie that is drawn has colors of like neon green, pale peach, bright red, and dark navy blue, right? Those colors don't necessarily 100% cohesively go together, right? So I'm giving myself the grace to say, this color palette is from the movie, and yeah, I'm going to use it, but I'm going to add off-white and black and cream to this color palette to try to pull it all together, right? Excuse me, had to cut myself off there because I was coughing. Anyway, neutral colors to me, black, white, gray, brown, dark brown, light brown, khaki, cream, off-white, ivory, that range of colors. If there's a color I can add to make the colors in the poster sort of look more cohesive in one piece, I'm gonna do it. Because ultimately, I want to use the colors from the movie's poster. That is the challenge in the Movie Marquee challenge. But I also want the person who is receiving my donation to actually like what I've made, right? So if adding off-white and gray to a color palette makes it sort of go together better, I'm gonna do it. And then number 3, we are still endeavoring to use up scraps of yarn, floppy skeins of yarn. I feel like I made such a good dent on it with this last year's 2024's blanket, and yet my scrap bin, which is sitting like right there, is overflowing once again. Go figure. So I'm gonna try to use scraps that I've already got, partial skeins, floppy skeins, used yarn, like yarn that I had a full skein of, and then I used some of it, and I've got a partial skein left over, or scrap balls, you know, small pieces of yarn that have come off the end of a project that I only have a very little amount of. We're trying to use those up first. If I don't have a color that matches the movie or that I really want to use out of the movie, so be it. I'm not opposed to buying new yarn. I'm not putting myself on a yarn ban. I'm just not doing it. But I'm going to endeavor to prioritize the yarn that I've already got first before buying new or, you know, any of that, right? Number 4, I'm going to use this project as an excuse to finally tackle some things that have been on my to-do list. Specifically, knitting, learning how to knit. 2, Tunisian crochet, learning how to Tunisian crochet. Now, I had these as goals for myself. I think I set them at the beginning of 2023. I think. And I actually plan on doing a whole video on my 2025 goals, which maybe you will see soon. I'm hoping you will see soon. So I'll go more in depth in that video. But I never did really tackle knitting, needle knitting, or Tunisian crochet in 2023. It is now 2025, and my goal has still sat there uncheckmarked. So we're using this year's Movie Marquee challenge as an excuse to knit a scarf, to Tunisian crochet a hat. I'm going to do them. I'm going to incorporate them in. And the reason for it is I incorporated loom knitting into my sort of repertoire of fiber arts knowledge when I did the big donation for wings to Rose and Wings. And because I did loom knitting, I absolutely fell in love with it, to the point where I am still loom knitting 2 years later. I'm pretty sure that was in 2023. I'm pretty sure. I don't think it was 2024, but there's dates on the video, so I can fact check myself here. But anyway, loom knitting itself became a part of my fiber arts journey, just like crochet has. And crochet, I've been crocheting since like February of 2021. The very beginning of 2021, which means this year makes it 4 years that I've been crocheting. I love crochet, clearly. Like, that's kind of a given. I don't even need to say that. But but loom knitting has also become part of the fiber arts that I love, right? I kind of always have something going on there. A blanket, a scarf, a hat, whatever it is that I feel like making. There's kind of always something on one or more of my knitting looms. And I'm hoping needle knitting and Tunisian crochet also get incorporated into that sort of rotation of fiber arts projects. And it was because I was making so many hat and scarf, cowl, etc. sets that loom knitting became part of it. So we're going to try with regular needle knitting and with Tunisian crochet to expand the fiber arts knowledge experience to other craft forms that I have wanted to do for a very long time and then never got around to it. So all of this to say, the Movie Marquee for 2025 is going to be putting some good into the world while also benefiting myself by learning new crafts and using up my stash of scrap yarn and partial skeins. And it's all going to be fabulous, right? There, there we go. So now let's move on to the actual movie pick for January. I know this video is a long one. I can see the runtime on my phone already, so let's move on to the actual movie pick and the yarn that I have in my project bag that is officially designated for the Movie Marquee. Third year running, it is my Movie Marquee project bag. So, January's movie. It was Heather's pick, and she drew, drum roll, Follow That Bird. I remember this movie. When I was a kid, I was absolutely a Sesame Street kid. For example, my older niece, she was a Sesame Street kid until Bluey and Peppa Pig kind of took over. And then the younger niece just straight into Bluey and Peppa, but it's Bluey. Bluey all the time. And so they were kind of Sesame Street kids, but I absolutely was a Sesame Street kid. The Muppets, I loved The Muppet Show, I loved Sesame Street, Fraggle Rock, etc., etc. And I remember Follow That Bird. Do I remember the whole story? No. In fact, I don't think I've even seen this movie since I was but a wee little Samantha. But a part that sticks out in my mind is Big Bird ice skating. Heather, if this is an actual accurate memory of this movie, please let me know. But that's kind of what is in my head for Follow That Bird. So that movie, those colors, is our inspiration for January. And so I've got yarns here in my bag. To start, I picked, again, a flippity-floppity skein of Big Twist Value from Joann's. This color is Varsity Yellow. It is pretty floppy, but there's enough to do something with that. As well as Big Twist Value, Varsity Gold. I've got this color, again, a partial skein. Stay there. Then I've got a scrap ball of orange. The color is just called orange from, surprise, surprise, Big Twist Value. If you're unfamiliar with the Movie Marquee and you haven't been following me for the Movie Marquee, then you may or may not be surprised to know that I've got a big collection of Big Twist Value because I think Big Twist Value is my favorite value acrylic, I think. It's readily available. There's 1,000,001 colors. It's easy to care for. It says on the label not to tumble dry, but I have tumble dried Big Twist Value many times. It does sort of fuzz up a little bit, but not enough that I would be like, don't dry it, like the label says, right? But I've got the biggest collection of Big Twist Value specific yarn. So that is what a lot of these are. Like this green, which is forest green from Big Twist Value. This color is about as close as I could get to matching down at the bottom. The name of the movie itself is on the Sesame Street street signs. It's about as close as I could get to the actual green from my stash, again, without buying new. Then I've got two last colors. This horrible banana of yarn. Oh, dear me. This unfortunate soul is the end of a Red Heart Super Saver Ogo in the color Cherry. I don't hate the Ogo shape. And Joann's, like several years ago, had the Ogos on like really super sale. I think they were on sale for like $1.50 or something. And so I got a whole bunch of black, a whole bunch of gray, a whole bunch of cherry, and then a couple of variegated colors, and then that's it. And I've slowly been working through them. I used up a lot of them in previous projects like the Stitch and Scream and so on and so forth. I've got a gray that is like about this size, so halfway used, and then I've got this cherry from that collection. And then I never really did go back to get any more in this Ogo shape, so take that for what you will. But this is cherry. This is the background of the border of the movie poster is red, so I've got cherry. And then the last color, while this avalanche of yarn waits to happen, there we go. The last color is a variegated. Now this color is called Fruit Punch from Red Heart with Love. This specific color came from Heather. I can't fully remember if this was a giveaway that I won or if she was just a kind soul and sent me happy mail, because she does that often. She's like the sweetest person ever, but I can't remember where it came from, but it absolutely came from Heather. Fruit Punch is the color. It's red, orange, and green, which match red, orange, and green over here in the color palette I've already picked. And it also added in a sky blue, which is in the sky in the movie poster. I thought this sort of tied all the random colors together because obviously the two shades of yellow and the orange, those are Big Bird, right? Those are Big Bird colors. So the red and the green pulled in together with the orange and the blue, yada yada. I thought it was fitting. Plus it's Heather's month, Heather's pick. It made sense to me to use a yarn that I had gotten from her. And in fact, it's even here. It's right here in the paint splotches that I made for 10 Things I Hate About You, which was also one of Heather's movies, right? So I used this yarn for Heather's movies, apparently. But I thought it was very fitting, and I love this yarn. I love the color combo. It's so soft. It's delightful. And because it was a gift from Heather, I love it even more, right? So this is my color palette for January for the Movie Marquee. But you may hear a bag opening. And you also might see some finished objects here. So, because I am so late in the month for January when it comes to talking about new projects and things for the Movie Marquee, I wanted to have something to actually show you. And so, this right here is a Destination Anywhere cowl, which is, yet again, a pattern from Heather. Heather's month, Heather's yarn, Heather's pattern. There's a theme here, right? So this is her pattern with the colors that I picked out for January for Follow That Bird. And then there is a matching hat, which I'm having a hard time seeing. There's the seam. So this is the front. So this is a matching hat. I'll cover my face. Maybe. There we go. The colors have calmed down. This is also a matching hat for the cowl in the same yarn. The pattern is Happy Berry. It's not the biggest adult size, but the size below it, so a small adult size. And I just added some ribbing on there. The front and back post double crochets, since it's here, I did it here too. Although this is part of the pattern, the ribbing. I digress. So, these are like an example of what I'm going to do with the Movie Marquee colors. If these colors hadn't really gone together as nicely as they actually do, I would have added black, white, brown, khaki, off-white, cream, etc., to kind of make them match or give the like a contrast, you know, do you get what I'm saying? But the colors actually matched really beautifully, in my opinion. It is very bright very sunny. I think it screams Sesame Street. I absolutely, like, while I was working on this, especially the hat, this top section here with the yellows and the orange. Camera. There we go. Now you can see it. These colors, it's Big Bird. It's Big Bird all day long. And so it makes even a 40-year-old adult happy. So I figured it would make some other 40-year-old adult happy to have some bright, colorful winter set. Hold on. The cowl fell. But I figured it might make some other happy, or some other adult happy, just like it made me. And so I'm going to make other sets. I'm counting this as my one set for the Movie Marquee. So technically the Movie Marquee challenge for me for January is a check. But I'm not limiting myself to just one set. So I can make more than one set. In fact, I very likely will make more than one set every month. But at least one is going to be made. And I'm also not limiting myself for donations to only the Movie Marquee. So if I've got other yarn I want to use, I'm inspired, there's color combo I want to use that isn't in the Movie Marquee poster, I'm just going to make them and donate them. You know, like, I'm just going to do it. But there's at least one set every month that will be inspired by the Movie Marquee challenge. And I think we are almost at an hour here. I think that is more than enough. More than enough babbling. More than enough explanation. And more than enough show and tell here when it comes to the Movie Marquee. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're excited for the Movie Marquee, if you like my projects, leave me a thumbs up so I know. While you're down there, subscribe. I would appreciate that. Leave me a comment. You know the drill. All that good stuff. And yeah, when I have more to show you, when we've got some other stuff to talk about, I will just see you then. But until then, take care. Goodbye.